What's going on, man? It's your boy Jay Holley, and we are back with another episode of Unfiltered with Jesse Holley, episode 73. I forgot that last time. I won't forget it this time. 73 of those things. Thank you. You're far too kind. You could have been anywhere in the world, but I'm so glad you're here with me. I am Jesse Holley, the sports talk equivalent of Braille. People feel me when I speak. You guys know what you got to do. Like, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend. Apple, Spotify, YouTube. Head over to the page Fanatics Views on Instagram, on Twitter. Hit up my Twitter page at Mr. Fourth and Long. Man, put me in the family chat. I keep telling y'all, stop playing with me. Circulate this around. If you love me like you say you love me, if I bring you an ounce of joy, spread the word. Put it in the work email. Let everybody know that, hey, y'all should go and watch Unfiltered with Jesse Holley. You guys know how I like to get down. I like to give my motivation at the beginning because let's be honest. A lot of you not going to be at the end anyway. And that's okay. I'm not for everybody. But here's what I got for you today. Here's a message for you today. Sometimes you have to fall to see where you stand with people. Sometimes you have to fall to see where you stand with people. It is all Gucci when you up. When everything is rolling, everything is good, everybody's like, yo, oh, but when the chips are down, when you aren't able to provide the yeses for people's lifestyles or the yeses for people's demands or commands, that's when you really see. And if you live long enough, and some of you have experienced this because you live longer than me, but if you live long enough, you're going to have a down season. It's just inevitable. It's inevitable. It's a part of life. It builds character, I guess. But sometimes it's going to be real lonely in those valleys. It's going to be real lonely on the mat. And you're going to look to your left and you're going to look to your right. And those same folks that was there when you was up might not be there when you're down. So you have to hopefully assess that before you hit rock bottom. Before you get to that season. But when you get into that season, check inventory. Check those who were there to be like, yo, you need something? Yo, can I help you? Nah, I got you this time. Yo, you took care of me before. I could take care of you now. Just make sure that you're not always give. Because people will take. And then when you need, they won't be there. So make sure that you understand that sometimes you have to fall to see where you stand with people. Pick your squad right. All right, man, let's get into this thing. Oh, boy. I'm not mad. I'm not mad at all. I'm not furious. I'm not even upset. I told y'all last week, if you follow me in any other of the platforms that I work for and I do shows for, then you heard me say consistently, this team was in a world of trouble going up against Detroit. Cowboys lose to Detroit 47-9, giving up almost 500 yards of total offense to the Detroit Lions. The Lions, they toyed with the Cowboys. They had 11 tackle eligible plays that they ran. 11. Dan Campbell was hell bent on we gonna get one of our offensive linemen in the end zone. 11. Jokers don't run 11 tackle eligible players in a season. They ran 11 in one game. And what I loved about it from the Lions standpoint, I love Petty. I love Petty. I strive in Petty. I flourish in Petty. I relish Petty moments. I told y'all, Dan Campbell was coming to prove a point. Dan Campbell and the Lions felt like they got cheated last year at AT&T Stadium with the whole eligible tackle or whatnot. Dan Campbell felt like the Cowboys didn't belong on the same field as him. Dan Campbell is a former player. He understands what it means of setting the tone. See, I've been in a couple fights in my life. And there's one thing about when you have a close fight, you know what I'm saying? Like you fighting somebody and you don't really dominate them. So when y'all leave the fight, you may have felt like you won and you may have actually won. But that other person that you were fighting, they thought the fight was closer than it probably was. So there's a level of hope that they still believe so that if we run into each other again, I can get Jesse the next time. I can get this person the next time. And so the way that they may treat you now is not with the proper level of respect that a good whooping would give you. You know what a good whooping feel like. Your respect changes. Your respect changes from a good whooping. Dan Campbell wanted to be like, oh, see, last year they beat us by 1 point. Even though I went for it 2 times in a row, I could have kicked the field goal, went to overtime, probably won in overtime. Dan Campbell said, I'm going to leave no doubt. Not just for Sunday, but in the event that I run across you again in the playoffs. In the event that we happen to cross paths again. I don't want you to get into the meeting room and be like, yo, we were 1 play away. 1 or 2 things go our way. We can win that game. Dan said, nah. When you watch this film, you'll be embarrassed. And I'm leaving no doubt that the next time we cross paths, this is what you're getting. They ran tackle eligible plays. They played in your face the entire game. They ran a double reverse flea flicker to the tight end. Oh, if that play looked very familiar, the Niners ran that very same play to George Kittle to score a touchdown. The very same play. The very same play. And granted, the Cowboys were down a bunch of players. But the way they whooped up on the Cowboys, 47-9, you didn't even get into the end zone. Even if you would have had those players, it still would have been bad. The Cowboys have so many issues. And that's why I didn't even want to engage with people talking about the trade deadline and bringing guys. You're not 1 player away. You're a full offseason, a guaranteed draft, a empty the clip spending in free agency away from being a competitive team again. Like, you need all your draft picks to hit. Oh, and by the way, because I don't think, I told you I love Petty. Don't think those of you who were all saying to me last week, well, here's what the best 5 should be. That we should take Tyler Smith and move him to left tackle and let TJ Bass play left guard. That's our best 5. Tyler Smith got worked. TJ Bass got abused. Zach Martin, Lord, this is how you know it's bad. Zach Martin may have had the worst game in his NFL career. According to PFF, Zach Martin graded out in pass protection Zero. And his overall grade was like a 24. Zach Martin. To which many of you, if I asked you who was your best offensive lineman, without hesitation, and I get it, you would have said Zach Martin. God, worked. You had no answer for Detroit. You let Aleem McNeil, I thought he was the second coming of Aaron Donald. I thought Aaron Donald had came back into the league and was playing tackle again the way that McNeil was pressuring the quarterback and getting sacks. Let me also say this, sidebar, thoughts and prayers to Aidan Hutchinson. Freak accident, was going in for the sack, whipped his leg around, and he hit shin on shin. If you remember when Anderson Silva went to kick, and when he kicked that lower leg and his shin and his leg just kept wrapping around the other person's leg, that's what happened. When Aidan was coming around, he swung his leg around and his shin hit the shin of an offensive lineman or another defensive lineman and shattered. He had surgery last night for a broken tibia. I don't know what the recovery for that is. I don't know if it's 6 weeks, 8 weeks. Don't know if he'll be back for playoffs or how significant the damage is. But it sucks. Like, that's the kind of thing that you don't want to see any player ever have those type of injuries. But it's always something when it's a player that you enjoy watching. Like the league, your league is built on good football, but your league is built on stars. And when you have a premium one like Aidan Hutchinson go out, it sucks because you don't get a chance to watch it. Even when they're not going up against your team, you still like to sit down and watch good football players. And that's a huge blow for that particular team. I think there may be an answer how to fill that void. I'll get into that a little bit later. But this Cowboys team got mauled, got abused. And the thing that continues to stick out to me the most is there is zero accountability on this football team. Zero. No one's accountable. Everyone puts the onus on someone else. No one is willing to step up and say it's like truly say it's my fault. Like, and I'm gonna be honest with y'all, it starts with Jerry. It does. Because this is the team that you built. This is the team that you built. And Jerry may not want to fully admit it. And he kind of backtracked on it a little bit about a week or so ago. But if you put everything in order chronologically of how he's approached this offseason, the training camp, and everything about that, and in this, sometimes with Jerry, you have to read in between the lines. And when he told you that, yeah, I'm gonna pay Dak, but he gonna have to play with less, y'all thought he was playing. He ain't playing. He ain't playing with y'all. And this is not a good, and this is not a good team. Not a good roster. There are some good components to it. This is not a championship competing roster. I don't care what they say. It's not a championship competing roster. You have far too many holes. You have far too many needs that were not addressed that are bigger than Achilles' heels. They're your whole damn leg. And I get it. You were out, Micah and Tank and Deron Bland and Kason Carson, and the list goes on and on. And Guyton went to the bench, and I get it. Eric Kendricks, Sam Williams. This is not a good football team. And no one takes accountability for it. I've said this time and time and time and time again. We got to bring back public shaming. Like, you watch that game and you watch Trayvon Diggs make business decision after business decision after business decision when it came to tackling. Now, I'm not asking. I'm a reasonable dude. As someone who moonlighted, if you will, in the National Football League, I get it. Like trying to tackle a guy like Derrick Henry who's coming around the corner and he's built up momentum and speed. I get a business decision here and there. You know, if you're a cornerback and the guard or the tackle is pulling out and he's now lead blocking down the sideline and you're standing in the tracks and the train is coming at you. But you were making business decisions on David Montgomery. Unacceptable. Unacceptable. Offensive. Mozzie. Where's the Mozzie from the New York Giants game? Like you were excited and happy that you finally showed up. And you reverted right back to who you've been those other 20-something games besides that one game in New York. And sure enough, in the biggest game that when we needed the team to play at its height, when we needed those who were putting on the uniform to play A+ level at the same time all together for 4 quarters, you were back to being laid off the football. You were back to being moved around and pushed around. You were back to not having penetration in the offensive line. And I know there's no accountability that's being really held in that locker room because these are the same things we've been talking about for a while. These are the same things that we continuously discuss podcast in, podcast out. Tackling, assignment alignment, not being pushed off the ball, blocking somebody, like playing with a level of toughness. We talked about this over and over and over. And even with the coaches, Zim was supposed to be able to come in here and be that guy who gets everybody lined up and in order and crack the whip and do all those things. And Mike McCarthy, Michael from Pittsburgh is what I call you now. I don't call him Freaky Mike no more. I call him Michael from Pittsburgh. He said in his press conference today that their basics are not in order. Like when I hear things like the basics are not in order, when I hear you in your press conference and you say in your press conference that, yeah, we're practicing hard, but we're not practicing well. And when I hear you say that, oh yeah, we're doing the things, we have all these drills that we do for tackling and blocking. When I hear these things, Michael from Pittsburgh, but then I see what happens on the field, I'm perplexed. I'm confused. I'm dumbfounded. Because these are things, our basics aren't in order. That's a coaching problem. I told y'all maybe 2 podcasts ago, when you have misassignments, when you have lack of intensity, when you have missing tackles, when guys, you had 2 offense, you had Zach Martin and you had Hunter Lemke blocking the same dude. Guy comes in and get a sack on Dak Prescott. You had Luke Schoonmaker who's pushes down in on a chip block and then runs up the field and runs right into Jalen Brooks. When you have those levels of stumbling, bumbling mistakes, I told you guys, you're either coaching it or you're allowing it. That's it. Good teams don't consistently have the same mistakes happen over and 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 over again. That's coaching. It's no different than being a parent. If your kid keeps getting in trouble for the same thing, or your kid is unable to correct the things on a spelling test or whatever, then you're not doing your job as a parent. There's not a good enough emphasis, and Mike if you're allowing Mike Zimmer to kind of just do his own thing on the defensive side, because Lord knows that ain't showing up, it's going to cost you your job too. The players have to be accountable to the players, which I don't believe that they are. I just don't. I don't believe that they're an accountable group as a whole. As a whole. But neither are the coaches. You're not holding anyone accountable. And I know that it's difficult because I know fans are going to say, bench this guy, bench that guy. You're not benching Trayvon Diggs. Sorry, guys. Not in this organization. Maybe in others somewhere else, not in this one. And if you ask me why, I can tell you 97 million reasons why. You don't bench money on this organization. No matter how bad that they're playing. And that's unfortunate. And those are one of the things that kind of hinder Michael from Pittsburgh from being the best head coach that he can be. But I was, and you guys know this, I stood on the table and I was a starch believer of Mike McCarthy. To those, I apologize. To those people who listened to me, and as I was on Freaky Michael from Pittsburgh, I'm sorry. I was wrong. I'm out on Michael from Pittsburgh. I'm out on this old offense. I'm out on his unwillingness to change. I'm out on his stubbornness. I'm out on it all. I'm out on it all. What's going on, man? It's your boy, Jay Holley. That's right. Former Dallas Cowboy receiver, winner of 4th and Long with Michael Irvin, and host of Unfiltered with Jesse Holley. If you're watching this video, guess what? You can be a part of this show too. You can have your ad here or here or here or here. Anywhere you decide that you want us to put it. We can have a ticker tape. We can have it on a shirt. I can put it on a hat. I just want you and us, we, me, you, together. Let's find a way to get your brand and my brand on the platform. We stream everywhere. YouTube, Spotify, Apple, all over the place. I need you. You need me. Let's work together. Like teamwork. Everyone achieves more when we work together, baby. You need to be a part of this. I'm telling you, get on the ground floor, because yesterday's price might not be today's price. And someone asked me earlier today, what do you have to see coming off the bye week to make you believe, as if you were in the player's perspective? I've been in those seats. I've been on teams that lost head coaches, and I've been on teams that quit on head coaches. And there are some things that I've seen in those 3 losses that look very eerily similar to what I experienced many years ago when our coach got fired, right here in Dallas. It's feeling like that. The season is trending towards there's going to be a coaching change sooner or later. But what would I have to see? Like, you can't, as a player, especially as a guy who's been around for a little while, we can't come back off this bye and I see the same offensive game plan or routes or schemes or whatever that I did when we left. You would lose me like that so fast. There needs to be a tangible thing that I can see, feel, touch, be around, absorb, that is different than when I left as a player. The coaching that you have to give me when we return has to be one that makes me believe that there is a change on the horizon. Now, there's a player component to this, dude, because you have to be willing to accept that coaching and accept that new game plan. But this locker room is teetering by the hair of my chinny chin chin at the edge of the mountain from being lost. Come on into this therapy session, y'all. That's what we're here for. It's a community. This team is not built to win. It just isn't. And Jerry reminded you again, sometimes you got to just start believing what people say to you. Like, believe who they are. He said it again last night after the game. That he doesn't plan to make any changes. That's not their focus. They like their guys. That's what they say. But what an absolute beatdown. I told you guys 495 yards of total offense. The Detroit Lions, their punter did the same exact thing that you did in the game on Sunday night. So this is the moment where you ask yourself the question, what did I do in the game Sunday night? And my answer to you is nothing. And neither did their punter. Didn't punt one time. You talk about making he basically took a trip from Detroit to Dallas, got a front row seat to watch a good game. Well, not a good game. Well, a one-sided game. And he'll receive a big fat check on payday for it. Because you didn't even force him to punt one time. There was zero resistance against anything that they did. There was zero pushback. You did nothing to ever make them feel threatened. I think the first drive you came out, you had a tip pass that was caught by Rico, and you had a one-handed catch that was made by CeeDee Lamb, and then you get into the red zone, and all of a sudden, interception. No, I'm sorry, that wasn't an interception. That was a field goal. And then after the second interception, I think Dak completed 3 more passes total. It was bad all across the board. I look at this team going forward, and I want to ask you guys a question. When you look at the next 5 games. Let's pull up the next 5 games. When you look at the next 5 games for the Dallas Cowboys, how confident are you? I'll put it to you this way. Let me pose it to you this way. See if you like this one. How confident are you if you had access to tickets, right? Let's just say you had access to tickets for the next 5 games. My computer's not working. I don't know why. Yeah. I don't know why it's not working. Yeah, you got the Niners. I know the next 2 games are Niners and Atlanta. Eagles at home. Texans at home. So your next 5 games, Niners, Falcons, both road games, right? Road games. And then who is after that? Eagles. Texans. And Washington. If you had already pre-bought, you already spent your money, because you thought back when Jerry said all in that he really meant that. If you pre-bought all of these tickets to these games, to the Niners, the Falcons, the Eagles, the Texans, and Washington, those are your next 5 games. Are you selling your tickets? Are you selling your tickets? You selling your tickets, Tay?
I wasn't buying tickets this year.
But if you had access to them.
Yeah, I would have dumped them, or I would probably dump them
Yeah.
a couple weeks ago.
Would you sell your tickets? Are the Cowboys, when you look at the next 5 games on their schedule, they're sitting at 3-3. And honestly, that really is, as crazy as this is going to sound, you're still in it. You're 1 game off the division lead. It just, like, those 3 losses feel like 6 because in the style in which you lost them. Like, I know that Baltimore was 28-25 at the end of it all, but you got boat raced. You got dog walked in that game. We know you got boat raced and dog walked in that Saints game, and you got absolutely obliterated in the Lions game. But where do you sit in the next 5 games? Do you believe there's no way you believe they're beating the Niners? I don't give a damn how much hopium you have. They don't even need Christian McCaffrey. As you can tell, they just plug the next guy in. Like, oh, no Christian McCaffrey? No problem. Give me this guy over here. No, come here. You, come. Go play running back. Because what we do, I just need you to be able to have a certain skill set. I don't care what your name is. I'm going to put you back there and let you go do your thing. So I don't know if you're going to believe that you're going to win the Niners, right? Falcons, depend on what Kirk Cousins shows up, right? It can go really good. It can go really bad. It can just be a really good, game all the way around. I always say every single year, you're splitting with the Eagles. So pick one. I'm going to say for my sake right now, it's a home game. You haven't won a home game in the last 3 home games? 4 home games, playoffs included. So you're 0 for 4 in the last 4 games, so I think you're going to lose that one. Here comes your 5th. Listen, I buy the Texans. I bought stock in the Texans. I'm in on C.J. Stroud. You're going to lose that game as well. But don't worry, because I'm positive of this. Houston Texans, and you can mark my word, Tay. Houston Texans come into town. The Diggs boys going to try to throw a party. They're throwing the shindig. I'm telling you, they're throwing the shindig. And then you end with Washington. Before the season started, I said that the Washington will be a sweep. Don't know now. It might be a sweep the other way. You thought Dan Campbell was a petty prince? Oh, Dan Quinn, Jersey boy like me. He gonna be the petty king. Oh, he gonna be petty. Dan Quinn gonna try to run it up. And it's at home? Or is that away? That's home too? Because Dan Quinn gonna sit around and say, you could have made me your head coach. Ben Johnson auditioned for you Sunday night. The OC for the Lions. Right? So when y'all get to the offseason and Mike McCarthy contract expires, and if I'm Ben Johnson, even though my dream for Ben Johnson is he'd come back home and go coach the Tar Heels. But when Jerry brings Ben Johnson in for his head coaching interview, and Jerry asks him the question, what is your style and philosophy? What kind of offense do you run? Like, what is your plan with the guys that we have here, CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott? If I'm Ben Johnson, and Ben's not me and I'm not Ben, but if I was, I would say, sir, October 13th, 3:30 at AT&T Stadium. Did you happen to be in attendance that day? Oh, it was your birthday. Cool. Everything about my philosophy is what I put on display at your home. You watched it. That's what I'm about. You want me or not? I'm not. You're not putting me up on no board. I'm saying press play. October 13th, 3:30 p.m. at your home stadium. That was my audition tape. There's no need for you to come in and ask me any questions. Do you want me or you don't? Choice is yours. But I have dinner plans in a little bit. Make your decisions quick. That's what I would say if I'm Ben. That's what I would say. But Dan Quinn's going to look at that and say, I waited around for you, Jerry. You could have made the switch. You could have fired Michael McCarthy from Pittsburgh and named me your head coach. You kind of kept toying me around a little bit and kept saying, come back. You made me one of the highest paid assistant coaches in the league. And you kind of like, I'm a divorce her soon. Me and you going to be together, boo. I was your side piece and I kept quiet and I just did my job. But now that I got a new man, I'm going to stun on you. So that can get ugly. I don't know if this team survives the next 5 games. I don't know if this coaching staff survives the next 5 games. And if I was a ticket holder, if I had already pre-bought tickets, this is Jesse Holley. If I was already paid my money for pre-bought tickets, I'm selling the next 3 games. I know what the Niners are going to be. Nothing on the Falcons make me want to even go to that game, even though it's away. I know what the Eagles are going to be. I'm keeping the Texan tickets. I would want to go see C.J. Stroud in person. That's just me. And depending where we're at record-wise, I would want to go see Jaden Daniels in person too. But I might sell those tickets. If there's no hope even left in that game, I would probably sell 4 out of the 5. That's just me. But this Cowboys team is down bad, real bad. And there's no answer in sight. Because even the guys that come back, Micah will be back eventually. Tank will be back eventually. Deron Bland was close this week. He'll be probably back after the bye. Same thing with Carson. I don't know what Tyler Guyton is going to be. They're going to move him back to left tackle and move Tyler Smith back to left guard. So those people will come back. But those people were also a part of, except Deron Bland, Kendricks will come back as well. Those people were a part of those other 2 losses too. So nothing coming back helps you. You're not getting a significant piece back that will take you back over the top. You were really bad on defense with Michael Parsons, with Tank Lawrence, with Eric Kendricks. So nothing about those guys eventually coming back off injury makes me believe it is up from there. But we'll see. But I'm telling y'all, man, I wouldn't put too much hope in stock into this Cowboys team finishing out this year like successfully. All right, man, let's move right along. I had an experience this weekend. One that I think if you are a sports fan and you live in the DFW area, even though you may not have a dog in the fight, I thought, at least I did, I thought it would be a good idea to experience things at least once. And boy, let me tell you, once will be the only time I experience this. I had an opportunity, privilege, an honor to attend can we call it historic? It's a historic game, right? right, it's an historic game, historic rivalry. Someone even said it might be the best rivalry, and I said, whoa, hold on. Hold on. Pump your brakes. Listen, Michigan, Ohio State, it's a good rivalry. Texas, OU, Texas, good rivalry. You know, Miami and Florida State back in the day, good rivalry. Miami, Notre Dame, Catholics and convicts. The number one rivalry in all the sports, at least collegiately. Don't play yourself. Is Duke, North Carolina. I should say North Carolina, that school from Durham. Don't play yourself. But I went and I experienced the Texas OU Red River rivalry. Can't say that 3 times fast. And let me start with the good first. I'm glad I did it to say that it's done. The people who support these teams really support these teams. And that's cool. That's cool. I'm out on ever going again. I never have to see another Texas OU game again. And I don't blame the people. I blame myself. I was regretting it from the parking lot. I mean, just finding parking. If you ever been to the Cotton Bowl, you know what it is. And I'm cheap, so I'm not trying to pay expensive prices. But even trying to get parking down MLK, I was like, I should have stayed home. But I'm blessed to have really good friends in really high places that afford me to experience some cool things in life. But as I walked and got closer to the stadium, the more regret ran over me. And I don't blame the people. I blame myself. I should have been in the house. Because what you get at Texas OU Red River rivalry is you get a bunch of people. Now, for those of you who may not know this, the Texas OU game is it's at a neutral site. It is at the historic Cotton Bowl in DFW. The Cotton Bowl, yes, the same Cotton Bowl that I won 4th and long at. But it is going on dead smack in the middle of the Texas State Fair. So not only are you dealing with Saturday football crowd, you're dealing with Saturday State Fair crowd. Because the State Fair sits inside the fairgrounds of where the Cotton Bowl is at. So the Cotton Bowl sits here. The fair is basically around the Cotton Bowl. They have the Prairie View. And who else they play? Prairie View plays Southern? Grambling? Sorry, HBCU people. Don't come at me. They're like, Jesse, you're black. You should know these things. I think it's Prairie View and Grambling game. Or Southern. Sorry, guys. Is it Southern? It's Southern. It's Texas Southern and Prairie View. Sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I didn't go to HBCU. I went to PWI. Okay? It's too bougie to go to a HBCU. Don't stone me. But you have that happening one weekend, and then you have, it's Grambling? Okay. Whew. Perry View and Grambling. And then the next week you have Texas, OU. Or OU, Texas, depending on where you're from. And what you get is a bunch of drunk college kids. And boy, let me tell you. And when I say hate, I don't mean hate in an evil way. I mean hate in an annoyed, old, curmudgeonly way. I hate drunk college kids. But I'm not mad at them. I'm mad at me. Because they were doing what they were supposed to be doing at 20, 21, 22 years old for this weekend. But boy, it was a lot of them. And if you live in Texas, if you live in the DFW area, you know this. If you do not live in Texas or the DFW area, you don't know this. It's still hot in October in Texas. And not just like, oh, wow, it's good. It's 80 degrees. Nah. It was 96 degrees in the middle of October. My anxiety is shooting through the roof. I don't like big crowds. I'm around drunk people. Now, the worst thing to be around a bunch of drunk people is sober. Now, if you know me, you know that is my state that I'm always in. I don't drink. So that made it even worse because I thought to myself, boy, if I got as drunk as them, then I would be in the same mind frame as them and acting the same way they act. It wouldn't be such an annoyance to me. But I don't drink. So I would never be in that state. And I'm just like, what am I doing here? And then you get into the stadium. And I remember being on 4th and Long many, many years ago and I lived in the Cotton Bowl. I lived inside the Cotton Bowl. I don't remember sitting in the stands like that. My knees, like literally if the ball was going this way, this is the field out here. If the ball is going this way, I had to turn my legs like this and sit with my legs like this. If the ball was going back that way, I had to turn and sit the opposite way like this. Luckily, I had space because there was another person sitting next to me, so I could move back and forth between those two spaces. If I sat like this, my knees were banging the backside of the bleachers. They're not built for tall people. And then God bless the two little young men that were sitting in front of me with their dad. They were having a father-son experience. There were two little black kids. It was funny, but it was not funny. It was funny because the one that was sitting on my left broke his left arm. He's in a cast. The brother who was sitting on the right-hand side broke his right arm. So they're both sitting there like they need each other because they don't have one of the other arms. So they're both sitting there with casts. And then they're putting their cast on the back of the chair, which is hitting my knee on both sides. And they can't feel it because it's a cast. I'm just like, and I don't have a rooting interest. I mean, I'm siding with Texas because I have friends that, like my close friends played at Texas, and my other close friend coaches at Texas. So I was kind of siding with Texas to win, but I didn't have a dog in the fight. And then what made it even worse, there was a guy in my row, and he kept getting up. So now I'm like, after like the 5th time, I just say to the guy, I said, listen, bro, you got to get 4 beers. Just get 4 and have them sitting with you. Because you can't keep, you know, oh, I'm sorry, man. You know, sometimes it's beer. Sometimes, you know, I broke the seal. I'm gonna bring you a beer back. I said, I don't need the beer. I don't drink. Bring me a water, please. Like for the inconvenience. If you are a college student, college age student, this is an environment that you want to be in. If you're an old, stubborn, little mean, easily annoyed, easily frustrated, inconvenienced, don't like a lot of people around you, don't go. Don't go. Don't go. Listen, shout out to Texas, shout out to OU and all those that attend. Once is enough for me. I don't need to be there again. It's, and again, nothing. I'll say this. I had to kind of, this college student, and I didn't want to be aggressive with him, and I understood. When you're going, as you're going into the stadium, there's zero organization. And for some reason, they put these stupid picnic tables in the way of going up the stadium. So like you're trying to like walk straight and now you got to go this way. And I guess they're trying to do something with the traffic or the flow or whatever, but it was dumb. And we're all in these tight spaces, and I get it, but be respectful of the space. These college kids, they're drinking, they're hyped up. We got one side yelling, you know, oh, you Texas suck. And the other side yelling, you know, Texas did it up. Oh, you suck. So they're going back and forth, and I get it, you know, have at it. But the guy, and he had boots on. And I wasn't even worried about my sneaker per se. He like backed up wildly and stepped on my big toe. I let the first one slide, y'all. And then he stepped on my big toe a second time. Like the second time, I felt like he like grinded the heel of that boot into my toe. And that's when I chucked him. I chucked him one good time. I'm going to be honest with y'all. I chucked him one good time, man. And then he turns around. He's like, you know, hey, man, bro. I'm like, my toe, bro. My toe. And then he goes and says something like, yeah. So he turns to his friends and he's like, you know, yeah, these guys upset that I stepped on his foot. No, he said I stepped on his sneaker. I said, I don't give a damn about the sneaker. You stomped on my toe, bro. And then he did the inevitable. He goes, my bad, bro. I said, get your damn head. Don't touch me. Don't touch me. He's like, whoa, my bad, bro. I'm like, don't touch me. I'm hot at this point. I'm like, I'm legitimately temperature hot. I'm frustrated hot. Don't touch me. He's like, whoa, bro. That pissed me off. Because he's like, whoa, bro. I didn't mean to touch you, bro. I was like, I gotta leave. I gotta go. I finally get inside, man, and sit down and you know, like I said, it was a good game. If you haven't been, go to say you've gone. And I'm not into the fair either. I'm not into the fair. I think the fair food is disgusting. I think it's overpriced. I know you're probably saying right now, Jesse, you're just an old, this is why I stay home. This is why I never get offended when people don't invite me places. This is why I only go when I want to go somewhere and where I want to go. And if you know me, you know that's true. I didn't let people like, oh, why did you go to the fair? I don't like the fair. It's wildly overpriced. I told y'all it was 96 degrees. The food is nasty. I don't eat corn dogs. I don't eat turkey legs. I don't want no damn fried butter. I don't want fried Oreos. I don't want fried fatback. I don't want none of that. I should have got a piece of fried cheesecake though. That I do indulge in. But the rest of that stuff is nasty. I don't need all that fried. I don't want funnel cake. Funnel cake is mad messy. I know I'm old, I'm mean, I'm curmudgeon, I get it. But if you haven't been to the OU Texas experience at the Cotton Bowl, have at it. Give it a try. But you better be drinking when you go there, because if you're going to be sober, that is the worst place to be. To be sober around a bunch of drunk people will lead to an attitude 1,000% of the time. And I learned my lesson. I'll stay home next time. Around the NFL, I should say embattled. I don't know if I embattled. You know who stayed at home? Hassan Reddick. Hassan Reddick said, I ain't reporting. I'm like, Jess, I don't even like New York like that. Hassan Reddick, who was traded from Philadelphia to the New York Jets, who have yet to report to the Jets. He's losing money by the minute. I think he's up to like $4 million lost between salary and fines. His agent at CAA, they said last week, it was like, translation, we out, bro. They quit him. They said, we no longer want to represent you. They quit Hassan Reddick and said, you don't want to go play football. We're trying to get you to play football. We're out. Well, Hassan Reddick just signed some new representation. If you know anything about sports, one of the guys who was a shark in this business, good old Drew Rosenhaus. Drew is a shark. He has signed a lot of players, got players a lot of big money. You know, Drew really became Drew with the whole T.O. situation, right? That's when you really started seeing the face of who Drew Rosenhaus was during that whole T.O. situation when he was like, took the pills and all that kind of stuff. And Drew Rosenhaus was like the face of getting T.O. back in where he needed to be. Hassan Reddick has signed to Drew Rosenhaus. You heard it here first. Hassan Reddick will be in someone's NFL uniform in the next 5 to 7 business days. This tells me that he still wants to play football. This tells me that he has probably realized his mistakes, and Drew's going to get him on a football field. It's the only way he makes money. Drew's going to get him on a football field, and if I'm the Detroit Lions, who just lost their premier pass rusher to a broken tibia, I think I get on the phone with Drew and I say, what do you guys want? What does Hassan want? Here's what we can offer right now, right? We can get you out of New York because you don't want to be there. We can put you on a team that is destined for at least the NFC Championship game. And potentially you'll face the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl. That's a trajectory the Lions are on right now. We can pay you out the rest of the money that we're going to pay you this year, which is $17 million, whatever's left over of that. And then maybe we give you another 1-year deal for next year. I know that you want Hassan, I get it. I know you want a long-term deal. But here's where we're at right now. We haven't signed our stud, Aidan Hutchinson, just yet. But if you come and prove yourself this year, we'll pay you a little bit more next year, and then we'll be in line to give you a big deal. At least you'll be on the winning franchise and a team that believes in you and wants to see you thrive in a good culture. What say you? Now the Jets have to be in play with this as well because they have to trade these assets. I don't know what the Lions are willing to give back. They've done a pretty good job with their draft picks and the way that they draft. But Drew Rosenhaus, one thing for certain, two things for sure I know about Drew Rosenhaus, he going to get the deal done. I bet you, like I said, I say 5 to 7 business days jokingly, unless it comes true, then I'm going to stand on that. But before the trade deadline is up in early November, he's going to get him back on the football field. And for Hassan Reddick, here's the funny part about it. For Hassan Reddick, you have to play or be active for at least 6 games to be credited an accrued season. And if you don't, then the year doesn't go away. You still have to come back and play out that year. So it's not like, oh, I can just sit out the rest of the season. Remember Le'Veon Bell, that situation, he set out that whole year. You don't, that year, just because you set out that year, you don't get credited a season. So you don't get a chance to count that year as done. They go, well, you forcefully didn't play. You weren't injured. Now, if you're injured, you're injured. Then they'll count it towards that year. But you either retired or you forcefully did not play those years. So that year technically never counted. And you lost money because you got to pay these fines. And then everything just cycles over again next year. And it's the same $17 million next year that you'll get paid. And it's still, you still have to fulfill that obligation unless you get 6 games in. So Hassan Reddick at some point in time has to realize you're never getting out of New York if you don't at least get those 6 games done. Maybe he does it later on in the season. I don't know. But he did sign new representation. Drew Rosenhaus. That should be interesting. I think you're going to see Hassan Reddick play football for the second half of this season. You guys know I love petty, and you guys know I love spicy. I love a good spicy topic. And we have one in the NBA. If you guys remember, not too long ago, nice little trade happened in the NBA between the New York Knickerbockers and the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Minnesota Timberwolves got a draft pick, DiVincenzo, what's his name? Donte DiVincenzo. They broke up the Villanova boys. And the New York Knicks got Karl Anthony Towns. Well, they played the other night in the preseason game, and things got a little bit spicy. As Donte's at the free throw line, he's yelling over to the New York Knicks bench, what seems to sound like he said to Tibbs, "Thanks for the trade, Tibbs. Thanks for the trade, Tibbs." And then someone said something back, which sounded like Tibbs, that voice. And he said, "This is what happens when they let you run the show." Woo. But the messiness didn't stop there. After the game is over. Now, Donte went to school at Villanova, was teammates and really good friends, is still really good friends, I suppose, with one Jalen Brunson, who is the New York Knicks point guard. On staff of the New York Knicks is one Jalen Brunson's daddy. I'm the baby's pappy, Rick Brunson. And after the game, Donte and Rick, not Jalen Brunson, but Rick Brunson, have some words. And they had to be separated. Now, Donte came out and he was willing to talk about what he was saying to Tibbs, the head coach of the New York Knicks. But he said, I'm going to handle the altercation or the verbal altercation that he had with Rick Brunson privately. But it was spicy, y'all. It was some spicy. It was like I like to mix that when I get sushi. I mix that wasabi in that soy sauce, and you got to eat it, and then it make your nose run. It was spicy like that. So look forward to seeing what when the Knicks and the Timberwolves, when they meet up at some point in time this year, There's gonna be a little, and if I'm Brunson, if I'm son Brunson, if I'm Jalen Brunson, even though Donte's my boy, if me and my pops got a good relationship and we Gucci and he ain't do nothing like wildly disrespectful, I gotta cook you the next time I see you. I gotta cook you the next time I see you for like a 30, 40 piece nuggets, no fries, no sauce. Just off of GP. Can't wait to see that game. And unfortunately, I have to end the show with a little bit of sad news. Over the weekend, the University of North Carolina lost one of its football players, Tylee Craft. If you know anything about Carolina football, Tylee Craft was diagnosed with a rare form of lung cancer 2 years ago, and he fought valiantly and courageously. But Saturday morning, before the Tar Heels kicked off their football game, Tylee passed away. It's unfortunate. It's sad to see such a young and vibrant player, native of South Carolina, lose his life to cancer. Cancer. Cancer sucks. I lost my grandmother to cancer. My thoughts and prayers go out to the Kraft family. They honored him before they knew he was even going to pass. They honored him that Saturday at the game. One of his good friends wore his jersey in the game. Number 13 he wore at University of North Carolina. We call ourselves wide receivers. If you go to University of North Carolina and you're a wide receiver, we call ourselves the Freaks, right? And it just stands for, Freaks is an acronym for fresh receivers, exciting all crowds with a K, smoothly. So rest in peace, young freak, Tylee Craft. Continue to watch over your family, watch over your friends. You no longer have to fight. You can now rest in paradise, be cancer-free, and be without pain. No more hospitals, no more chemo, no more any of that. It's sad when you hear about a 23-year-old kid losing his battle with cancer. My thoughts and prayers go out to anybody who may have lost someone recently to cancer, is battling with cancer. Keep fighting the good fight. So pray for the Kraft family if that's what you do. You're a praying person. Send good energy and vibes if that's what you do. Send anything positive you can to the Kraft family, because this has to be incredibly, incredibly hard for his parents. You never think about, as parents, having to bury your child. And this is a difficult thing that they have to do and deal with. Pray for the teammates, his friends, who no longer will have their friend, their brother, their teammate. Rest in peace, Tylee. That's all I got for you guys today, man. Remember, like, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend, download Apple, Spotify, check us out on YouTube, Fanatics Views on Instagram, at Mr. Fourth and Long on Twitter. Put me in your family group chats and make me a part of your life. Do all the things that you can do when you see me in the street. Say what's up. All that kind of good stuff. You won't see me at any more OU Texas games. I can promise you that. At the Cotton Bowl, no longer doing that anymore, man. But I appreciate you guys, man. Thank you guys so much. Catch me out all week, hanging with the boys, DLLS, all the places that you can find Jesse. But support me here at my own thing, Unfiltered with Jesse Holley, man. That's it for me, man. Remember, eliminate the contingencies. I'm out.